When you run a professional services firm, where your contracts are written into many fixed fee or not to exceed parts, then running over budget means that you're killing the profitability of your projects. You have a cap on how much you can charge, but you're expending more effort that's not going to other projects, effort that is still costing you in terms of labor and the time and energy that it takes to maintain the project, but you're not able to bill for. So here's 3 ideas for how you can avoid budget overrun. The first is real-time tracking. As your time and expenses get entered into whatever system you track them in, you should be able to see how that is comparing to the budget that's expended, and ideally also compared to the work or scope that's getting completed. That way you know, as soon as there's an imbalance in the amount of scope that is being completed versus the amount of budget that you are spending, you know either you're running ahead of schedule, which is great news, especially for fixed fee work, or you're lagging a little bit behind, and it's time to start talking about strategies for fixing that, whether it's change orders, additional services, ways to change the contract amount and raise the roof on your budget, or ways that you can bring in the scope or bring up the efficiency so that you get more work done to catch up to how much budget you've spent. So that's tip number 1, real-time visibility into how much budget you've spent and how that compares to how much scope you've completed. The second is predictive scheduling. And by this I mean doing resource scheduling in a way that shows you in real time how much budget you've scheduled on top of the hours that have already been worked or logged. So that now, not only do you see in real time what you've spent versus what you've completed, but you can also see where you're projected to end up if people work the number of hours you've expected them to work. Better yet, if you can compare the tasks that they have remaining in a phase to the amount of hours that you've scheduled, you can ensure you will get the scope done, and you'll understand whether or not you're going to come in on time and on budget for your client. Finally, real-time communication to your team of where they're at in the budget. Now, sometimes firms are a little edgy about sharing information about budget with team members that are completing work and just logging time to those phases. But there's ways to do this without sharing maybe the dollars and cents of the project and getting people worried about issues that are not really their concern. You could simply show them the percentage of budget in a phase that's been spent so that they know as they're completing work and logging time if they're getting close to the cap on that budget. This sort of ground up communication then to you when there's starting to be a shortage of budget remaining versus the amount of work left means that you can get ahead of things rather than waiting till a weekly status when a project manager rounds up all the data, or worse, when you do monthly invoicing and find out you can't invoice for all the time that you spent. You're now getting much faster feedback on where you're at in your budget so that you can get ahead of the changes you might need to make to either budget or scope or which team members you have assigned based on billing rates and things like that to still get the work done on time and on budget when possible. So there you go, 3 tips for maintaining a budget, staying under, and making your projects more profitable. If you're interested, Factor provides ways to do all of the above simply by entering a budget, logging time, and doing invoicing out of the system. Throw in resource scheduling and you now have data points to make all the decisions you need to stay on budget, get things done for your client, and make your projects more profitable. Learn more at factorapp.com, where you can sign up for a 30-day free trial or request a demo to learn more about what your projects might look like in Factor.